So now we have our mission, we have our unorthodox or extraordinary assets, and we can figure out what do we need to, how do we measure our success, what do we need, and what are some critical success factors to do so. So we're going to be, and part of our resource-based analysis is we're going to start spending the time to say, okay, what do we need to do to make this real, okay? So we're going to start creating what's called a strategic map or strategy map, okay? And from there, we're going to have our value drivers, which our value drivers are coming from our extraordinary assets, our stakeholder experience. Who are our stakeholders for our donut shop? The customers, right? So we talked in previous interviews, Ex Gratia Brewing, right? Their mission is to help the unskilled employment force and help develop their skills. Are they the stakeholders? At this point, they're not. What they're trying to do is they're finding donors. They're looking for people who really, their stakeholders are like, how can we help contribute to a business that will help our community and help this population? So stakeholders always isn't the end consumer. Spherical Media is a great example. They create video content for a large population to watch, but their main stakeholder is whoever hires them to do so. No different than the Boxman Studios and a lot of the other interviews we've seen along the way. Next, critical success factors. Within our stakeholder experience, what do we need to actually make sure that we will be successful there? We have our to-do list. We'll talk about that last. And then we have our metrics. How are we going to know whether or not we're doing this successfully, right? We can say all this stuff, be the greatest donut shop in the world, or make it like grandma's home and all this different stuff. But at the end of the day, how will we know and how will we set goals that will tell us whether or not we're successful? Sales volume, all that. We're going to have all kinds of stuff. And some of this stuff is the things that we hate and reports that we get. But how can we research that and actually get proof of our concept? So we take a look at our value drivers first. And based on everything we've put our value drivers into a couple different factors. Everything from our ingredients, our skilled bakers, all of our equipment, everything. We've decided that our value drivers are donut appreciation, right? People who really love a good donut, that they come just for this one donut. No different than the chicken we were talking about in the last case. The emotional investment. How great does it feel to just sit in our shop, right? What are some other restaurants we like to just sit and chill out for a while? Cracker Barrel, Starbucks. I mean, you know, sometimes I'll set up there with a laptop for hours. They've done that specifically. They've set it up in their strategy. Grandma's Kitchen, right? Feels like I'm part of something. It feels like I'm part of the action of what's being cooked right there, but I'm also just sitting back and enjoying myself. And exclusivity, right? At some point, we want to feel special, and that's what we're trying to deliver in our brand, okay? We've taken our assets, we've decided what we needed that makes it extraordinary to make these our key value drivers. From there, let's start working on what our stakeholder experiences are. Our stakeholder experience is what do we want our stakeholder to say at the end of the day. Now, we've identified that our stakeholder is the customer, right? So that's very measurable. But these are the things that we want them to say. I always learn about new and delicious flavors I never thought about before when I'm at Nana's Donuts, right? Those are the kind of things we want to hear. We want to hear, thanks to Nana's Donuts, I am becoming a donut/pastry connoisseur, right? We all have experiences like that in restaurants with technology we use, with apps. We were talking about Uber before class, right? There's a part of that, the convenience of that we love more than anything. Their stakeholder are their riders. I love teaching customers something new about our donuts every day. That stakeholder at that point is our employee. And we want them to buy into this, because if they're not buying into this, how are they delivering it to our customers? The emotional investment. When I travel, I can go to a Nana's Donuts and experience the taste of home. Every time I have Nana's Donut, I just feel warm, and the comfort and the food is satisfying, right? We all love that feeling, right? If we could recreate the feeling of Thanksgiving afternoon every single day, I mean, that's the route to go. So, and sometimes that's give or take. We might have some pluses and minuses to that. So we go through, and with all of our value drivers, we define what is our stakeholder experience, okay? From there, we figure out what are our critical success factors. What do we need to ensure our customers are saying that about our value drivers? Critical success factor. The kitchen staff, our critical success factor, our kitchen staff has to have knowledge about how the donuts are made, how to make that dough, and what makes it special. And they need to practice that in and out to where they become experts on it. Customers must have easily availability at the store. They must be able to get in and out. We talked about an example of a store that you go in and out. The donut shop that you were mentioning earlier, you stand in line, you order your donuts, and you get out. There's everything from soups to everything that's sold that way. That's just not the model we're going after. So from there, you develop all your critical success factors on what will make that happen so your value, your shareholder experience can be delivered. Next, you'd mentioned metrics. How are we going to figure out whether or not this is working? Well, first off, the easy thing is let's just ask our customers. We can serve them on what they think about their experience there. We can quantify sales results. What's happening? Are sales going up or down with all of our offering? We can have contests. How many people here have filled out a card to win a free iPod or win a free meal or win a free trip? Do they always just ask you, do you want to win? No, they usually have several other things they ask along the way. And also, we're going to put one more metric on there. We're going to create a dough test, and that all of our bakers need to pass. And in order to be one of our master bakers, you have to score at least 80% on that. So in that, we're making sure that in order to fulfill that, our employees and our customers are analyzed correctly, and we're getting the information we need to make those decisions. And after we do that, and I will spare you from going through all of these, you can see that you go through, you fill out all your critical success factors. You figure out what metrics, what makes this successful. So with Clear Collar, we were talking about missions before. Their main mission was to create the next generation of cervical collars. They wanted to become the standard of care for emergency services personnel. And with that, they had a very similar strategic map on how they were going to deliver that to the marketplace. The question, as we said before, is while they were looking at their market and production and all these different things and establishing operations, they had to figure out, what are we going after? What can we actually deliver on? This goes back to our mission statement. Does any of this say we're going to be the best donut in the universe? Does it say anything about words we didn't even understand in our second mission statement? No. Can we make it feel like you're eating in grandma's living room with this? Yeah, absolutely. Lastly, our to-do list. We don't worry about that right now. This is our leadership. Our leadership puts the strategy together to say this is where the company is going. And one of the reasons that I subscribe to this methodology of strategy is the sole fact that every single thing any employee does can be traced to this strategic map. What happens with very large companies, and there's books written about it, there's seminars, there are consultants that make millions of dollars of doing it. They go to a large company, Fortune 500 company, they spend a whole week on their strategic meetings and retreats, and it goes on for a full week, and they come out and they're like, we nailed our strategy. They come out with 3 or 4 binders this thick, and they're like, 2017 strategy, we nailed it, right? And then what happens with those binders? They collect dust. They just sit there. And who else knows the strategy at that point? Just the people that were in that room. That doesn't help anyone. This can be delivered to everybody within the company. I did this for a client a while ago, and one of the questions was, well, this is for us to see, but we can't let our customers see this. It's like, no, let your customers see it. They may not understand what's going on, but this is truly what you are delivering to them. So with your to-do list, from that, once your strategy, which is communicated in this map to everybody, your to-do lists are your objectives that your managers and your employees can accomplish along the way. So in order to do that, we need to create our donut tests. We need to create surveys. We need to make sure our accounting department is creating the sales reports so we can quantify the change in sales that have happened within our strategy. And from there, it's a way to execute your strategy that is well communicated all the way from the top person in the company all the way to the lowest level in the company.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Nexagy Education or visit CasmerWard.com to catch up on previous episodes.